Hi everyone. Welcome back to Stacked Podcast, the show about movies and other stuff. Stacking things, maybe. Stacking movies. Going to a video store. And for today's episode, we want to ask the essential question. Remember when you were a kid? That's right, everyone.
You just jump scared our audience.
Boo! Gotcha, scared you.
You just lost every listener.
It reminds me of that video. You guys remember those videos online that were like fine, and then they just have a random jump scare in it?
Yeah.
Those cursed videos. That's what that reminded me of.
Cursed videos. Don't watch this video, dude. All right, yeah. Welcome back to Stacked, everyone. Episode 43, I believe. 43. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 43. Yeah. We're back at it again. With another special episode. But before we introduce our very special guest for this episode, I just want to take some time here to apologize to everyone for last week's episode.
Oh God!
I don't even remember what happened.
Yeah, that was a blur.
I must say I haven't edited the episode yet. I'm spending all of tomorrow to do that because I don't have work tomorrow. So I'm gonna go through it. I know damn well it's our shortest episode yet. But yeah, I don't really remember much from it either. If I'm gonna be completely honest.
Happening again. Let's go.
What? No, put those away. But yeah, we've sobered up since last week, and that's because we got a very special guest, our good friend, Brandon's roommate, but most importantly, writer, musician. What else are you? Content creator. Jack Ruhl is here on the podcast to talk nostalgia movies. Welcome to the program, Jack.
Hi, everyone. Woo! Thanks for having me. You're very kind. Much too kind.
So, Jack, you came to us with your topic of nostalgia movies. It's a very good topic, but I wanna ask you, like, what made you like choose that this was the one for your Stack debut?
I think nostalgia is a really interesting topic, and just something that I like suffer from and enjoy a lot. And I think it's relatable. So I was really interested to hear all of your takes on it. Plus, I wanted to hear Brandon rank every single one of his memories from childhood. So,
Brandon, what's the number one memory from your childhood?
Yes, Brandon.
Like top tier memory.
Top tier.
You just off the top of your head. It doesn't have to be the perfect number one.
Let's all go around and do this for the nostalgia episode.
Okay.
So Brandon, you start with your favorite memory as a kid.
I remember it was a birthday party I had, a mad scientist birthday party. And we had a scientist.
It
was a scientist instead of a clown that we had at the party. He had a lab coat. He had one of those Albert Einstein wigs, you know. And he was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." He had a bunch of these science experiments that he did, but our favorite one was at the end when he took a freaking big ass rocket, like this big, and he launched it above our neighborhood. And it didn't explode. It landed in my neighbor's backyard. Amazing. It was amazing.
Amazing. Wow.
Brandon's family's like QAnon. They instead of
no,
hiring
we're not.
Instead of hiring a clown, they get a scientist.
Yeah, they get a hacker scientist.
He's like, okay, the Earth is actually flat.
What's Kyrie Irving doing at this party?
He's kind of cool. Actually, he's kind of cool.
Chris, what about you? What's your most nostalgic memory you got?
I would probably say, wow, that's really hard. A lot of my memories from my childhood are really vivid. But I think like, my earliest memory that at least I think I can recollect is when I think I might have been like 2 years old at this point, but somehow I remember this one thing. Is I was sitting on my mom's lap when we were on like this little like train ride, like it's like a kid-friendly roller coaster at this amusement park. And I was just like kind of just sitting there and like looking around and seeing like the way I'm sure it wasn't because Hong Kong doesn't look like this, but it looks exactly the way I would imagine being on shrooms looks like. Everything's like bright and vivid and like everything's just like, ooh, yeah, this is right. I don't know, it's groovy.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, I guess that's my earliest mememory and a pretty fond memory because I love my mom. So
Shout out
what about you?
Mom.
What about you,
Shout
Jack?
out Chris's mom.
Yeah. Hi, mom.
Yeah, shout out Chris's mom. She's the best.
Hi, Mom.
Don't call my mom your mom. Imagine if like I introduced you guys to my mom one day. He's like, "Hi, Mrs. Lee. Oh, hi, Mrs. Lee. Hi,
Brad's
mom."
like, "Hi, Mom." It's like, what? We're family.
but-
yeah. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, Jack.
We're family. We've lived together. One of my favorite like early memories was this one time I was in a Walmart, like just checking out with our grocery items with my mom. And for anyone listening, I have this thing called Wardensburg syndrome that basically like it gave me like a patch of white hair on my hairline. A lot of people don't really know why it's there. They just like, oh, he must have dyed his hair. But no, I don't. Anyway, so when I was younger, it was really, really visible. And I'm like 3 years old at this point, walking through the grocery store with my mom. And I see this old lady who's like 85 years old, head full of white hair because she's old. And I looked at her and I was like, I'm going to look like you one day. And she was like, you look like me now. And that was one of the first times I was like, oh, like, that was funny. So that's one of my favorite nostalgia memories.
Nice.
So I was just like, oh, comedy.
Oh, comedy.
Oh, yeah, that's what me at 3 years old said.
That's when young
Was
Jack
that your
discovered
catchphrase?
comedy.
My catchphrase.
Let's see. Damn, it's hard. I think probably my fondest memory. Hey, Brandon's gonna like this. It's amusement park. Probably. Yes. Probably when I spent my 5th birthday at Disney World.
Ooh.
I think that's just like one of the earliest memories I have of Disney World. Of like, I remember like when we first got there, it was raining really hard and it was misty, and we took the ferry across the lake to get to Magic Kingdom, and it was like super mysterious and stuff like that, and we're just like, whoa, what the heck? And shout out friend of the show, Milo was there. He spent the vacation with me, our time there at Disney World, and it was just like, it was fun. I got harassed by a waitress at the 50s diner because that's what they do. They're sassy, and they're like,
Mhm.
You were 5.
"Hey kid, now it's your birthday. Here's your food." And I was like, "Please stop, don't release me."
Ethan at 5 years old is like, I'm not too young to throw hands.
I will
Stop
fight
being
you.
mean.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm not fighting. I'm not scared of you anymore. But yeah, I think that was just like peak of joy, of childhood joy, But yeah,
I like that idea that like at 5 years old you were at the same like Disney park that Brandon was when he like experienced. It's his origin story as to why he's a roller coaster enthusiast, and he was at the booth right behind you getting yelled at.
yeah.
Brandon, do you remember when we tried to get you to change your Twitter bio to roller coaster advocate?
Yeah. But it's actually enthusiast.
Enthusiast.
That's-
But do
What's
you
the
do
difference?
you advocate for the
rights?
freedom and rights of roller coasters?
Look, if 2 roller coasters want to get together, I'm not stopping them.
How do you feel
'Cause that's
about
just
the
a
person
longer
who married
roller
a roller coaster? Remember that on TLC?
Or you see, if you really enjoy it that much, love is love, even if it's unrequited. Wait a second. Never
Okay.
mind. That's
Yeah.
fucked up.
No,
That's fucked up. That's messed up. Never mind. Just stay away from roller coaster relationships.
Yeah, we're gonna back to the
All right, should we move on with the show?
On that. Yeah, let's move on to nostalgic movies.
Yeah,
So,
sure. Cool.
these are obviously movies that we picked that give us immense amounts of nostalgia, and this is going to be a very difficult stack to sort of like figure out the end because we all have our own experiences with nostalgia, but it's going to be interesting to see what we all pick. So before we get to it, let me run down the rules of the show. Once a week, we set our topic or theme and go our separate ways, construct our own 3-film stack. Then after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks 1 film at a time. Then at the end of the show, we will mix and match our 9 films, make the ultimate decision. What quintessential 3-film stack we are checking out this hypothetical video store. Jack, as our esteemed guest, you have the honor of going first with your first nostalgic movie.
Wow.
What is it?
All right. This is one we all got to enjoy this past week at movie night. It was one of my favorite movies. I'm sad to say I took it out because I think I've
because
moved
of the
on.
person's name at the end.
Because of the person's name at the end.
What a reveal that was, though.
We all were like,
oh!
But the movie is Big Fat Liar, directed by Sean Levy. I think it's like a 2002 or 2004 film, something around there. But it is quite the ride. If you've ever seen it, then you would know. But if you haven't, it's about a kid whose middle school term paper is stolen by a Hollywood film producer. So the kid gets summer school, and the film producer turns it into a blockbuster. But the kid, played by Frankie Muniz, tries to get it back, so he flies to Hollywood with Amanda Bynes. It's quite the classic, in my opinion.
It's a solid movie. I mean, listen.
It's a good one.
When are we going to talk about, like, when is society ready to accept that this was Paul Giamatti's, like, most unhinged performance? It might be my favorite performance.
This is his Uncut Gems.
It might be his Howard Uncut Gems. Yeah.
It's either that or his Hubie Halloween.
There's a fine line separating them, you know? It takes quite a skill to walk that line, and I think Paul Giamatti does it. This is the first time I saw this movie. Jack showed it to us the other day, and it's solid. It's a solid movie. I think what's the best part about this movie is you can tell everyone's having fun on set.
Oh yeah.
You know. Now this was a movie that, like, besides a certain someone who wrote this movie, let's hope he wasn't on set. But
yep.
I bet it was fun if he wasn't there, but Mr. Dan Schneider. Seriously, what a reveal. That was like
the collective groan at the end of the movie when it was like directed by Sean Levy. Yeah, written by Dan Schneider. What? No.
Oh my god. Such a freak. Do you think he, you know what? I'm going to put the R word line on him too. That was also a shocker when Paul Giamatti said the R word, and we're just like, what?
Yeah.
We all should have.
What is more nostalgic than, hearing things that shouldn't be said anymore?
Yeah. In this day and age. Chris, what do you think about Big Fat Liar?
No, yeah. I haven't seen this movie in years up until Jack showed it to us again recently. And like you said, Ethan, Paul Giamatti gives it his all in this film. I still laugh at the thought of that shot of him walking toward, like, after he gets parachuted out of the plane, he's walking towards the camera and has that, it looks like a shot from Joker. I am beyond certain they probably pulled a reference for that. And yeah, I think one thing I really loved about this movie is, like, it has such, like, a surprisingly, like, endearing, like, love for filmmaking. I think it's, like, a really, like, it celebrates the medium really well, and I think, like, it does a great job of honestly just making me want to go to Universal Studios.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I also really liked about this film is, like you said, Ethan, Paul Giamatti's character kind of, like, being, like, racist, homophobic, ableist, and all this stuff. I think, like as shocking as it was, it's also like because he's the antagonist, in a weird way, it's like it becomes like an indictment of, like, this fucked up shit that always happens in Hollywood, which is really unfortunate. So, like, it kind of, like, I don't know if I would use the word justifies using it, but, like, in that understanding, I guess, in a way. But
I don't know. Yeah, like, I don't know if it's justified for a kids movie, but
yeah.
But it's interesting that we watched this during the time. There was one producer that was, like, getting called out while we were watching this movie. I forgot who it was. Mm-hmm. For his abusive behavior. So it was just really interesting to see that juxtaposed with Paul Giamatti's character.
Yeah, and it's definitely a lot of fun. The jokes hit. Like, honestly, I'm thinking about this movie right now, and all I can think about is Paul Giamatti's fucking, like, pissed off face and the Joker music with it. I don't know what it is.
After he skydives.
Yeah.
And you
Brandon,
can't
what do you
forget the
think
monkey.
about?
You can't
Yes,
forget
the
the monkey.
monkey. Ethan, you were losing your.
He slapped him.
Not until you call my dad. What one of those random line deliveries just pulled out of context that makes no fucking sense. But it's so good in context.
And it is the definition of being caught in 4K.
Yes. I still need to make a GIF of like just the speeding up of all those cameras popping out with just like impact font says caught in 4K. Just everyone going. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Brandon, what do you think? Oh wow.
This is a wild film. I hadn't seen this movie in a decade or so, and quite honestly, it's a very enjoyable film. Is it a good film? I have issues, but this isn't about being a good film or a bad film. This is about being Jack's nostalgia film, and I can understand that because guess what? They're making movies, and that's what we want to do, or that some of us want to do. And honestly, I love that because it's like these kids just playing around in the prop house, playing around on set. Paul Giamatti going crazy, and them pranking the hell out of him constantly. And I could really respect the hustle.
It is a good movie about making movies from a child's perspective, you know?
Agreed, yeah.
I think while it is pretty fantastical, I think the scenes in the prop house like just show the magic of like what prop houses are and stuff like that, you know? While some things may be exaggerated. Those scenes were great. Good pick, Jack. Thanks. All right. Brandon, let's go with your first nostalgia pick.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be bad for you guys. 2007's Hairspray. Okay, here we go.
Oh boy. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm not ready. Okay.
Too bad.
Give us the pitch, Brandon.
Well, here's the reason why it's a nostalgia pick. I recently watched it with you guys. I still think it's a great musical. However, I do recognize I haven't watched it in a while, and like the racial politics of it are pretty bad, even for like a film that is about the 1950s and 60s and integration of television. However, outside of that, I can find a really endearing tale about like misfits in very like various fields, like whether it be the nerdy girl with Penny, or whether it be somebody who's overweight with Tracy, or even the cool guy. And then you've got the racial undertone to it. So these are all the people who usually wouldn't get along, kind of like a Breakfast Club situation, where they all like sort of find a way to through music and dance. And I know that sounds cheesy, but for me it really works. And I remember seeing this movie in theaters and being really amazed by the musical numbers and the dances in it, and I really love it. I mean, it's got a lot of energy to it. The satire is pretty good most of the time. Sometimes it's not. Same thing as Big Fat Liar. There are some questionable moments. I'm looking at the end of the protest scene.
It's so fucking funny. Shit, gotta get out of here. Just leaves all of them.
But other than that, I love Hairspray, and I would totally put this in my nostalgia movie patch.
No, yeah, like, you know, even though like kind of like you, I do kind of like, I recognize the like, shall I say, the not very well aged like racial politics of the film. I do kind of see like how if you kind of like step back from that, there's also like there's still a pretty decent like and solid story about like just kindness and empathy between two different kinds of people. And if you don't necessarily read it through like the very like shall I say volatile lens that often is racial politics, it's like you can find a really great story about like just people coming together and being happy together. And like that, I totally get that. I remember I mentioned this to you guys, but like in high school, I think my school put on a production of this film, but it was not about race at all. I had no idea this movie was about race, like, period. So, and then for anyone who was wondering what I thought this film was about, at least in high school, the way I understood it was it wasn't a story about race between different races. It was a story about two different kinds of like demographics within a high school setting, whether that be like the nerds versus the jocks, and like, you know, kind of like finding empathy between one another, recognizing your differences, and kind of becoming like stronger as a whole. And that's kind of the like, and that I think is a great message, especially for kids who are watching this. But yeah, no, I do definitely see like the critique of it kind of does like slightly oversimplify like racial politics, but beyond that, I do kind of recognize it's like the value of this film. And also, I will admit, I really like the music. Nicest Kids in, not Nicest Kids in Town. What is it? You Can't Stop the Beat, and there's one more.
It is Nicest Kids in Town.
It is Nicest Kids in Town. Yeah, right. Oh no, that I thought that was in Greece. Never mind. Yes, Nicest Kids in Town and You Can't Stop the Beat. I really love those songs. So yes. What do you guys think?
Jack?
Dude, that You Can't Stop the Beat does slap. It really does. This movie, it's a tough movie because like if you have like a blind love for it, then it's like nothing can ever persuade you. Brent, I don't think you have a blind love for it. I think you can acknowledge, the downfalls of it.
Yeah.
Especially
and if
how
anything,
she
that
just
will
like
justify your love more.
Yes.
If you're able to acknowledge that stuff,
Exactly. Very much so. But I just can't get over the fact that Baltimore's not actually a real place.
That's true.
They say it's set in Baltimore, Maryland. I've been
They don't
there.
have a baseball team or anything.
It's not real. No. Orioles? I definitely haven't been to those games. But it's a fun movie. I'll give it that. Like, I remember watching it as a kid. I thought Zac Efron was the coolest dude ever, because he was. And I can still just be like, you know what? If I turn off my brain and shut my eyes and ears, like, I can enjoy this film.
Wait, what? If I don't pay attention to anything,
Wait, so you're just in a coma and you're like, oh, this is great.
You know what? I agree.
If I was in a hospital bed in a coma, that movie would slap even harder.
Old Jack is like, this woke me from my coma, so it is automatically the reverse of a nostalgia film.
This woke me up from my coma so I could turn it off.
Oh shit, turn it off.
No, but it is fun, and I enjoyed watching it with you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did enjoy watching it with everyone. I don't think it's a good movie. I don't like any of the musical numbers. The only thing I think I really do like is Christopher Walken's character. Hey, check this. I think my best analogy for the race politics of the movie Hairspray is have you ever seen that meme that goes around where it's like the difference between Democrats and Republicans, and it's that picture of a bomber jet, and the Republicans one is just like the normal bomber jet, and then like the Democrat one is the bomber jet with just like with a gay pride and then like a Black Lives Matter sticker on it. You know? I think that's a good summary for how I feel about the racial politics of this film. It's like good intentions, guys, but clearly all white people wrote this and made this movie
and produced it.
Like,
I was gonna say, we had a Chapman professor produce it.
Yeah, that checks
fun.
out.
We saw him when we were getting our COVID test 2 weeks ago.
Really? Did
And
you
Jack's
go up
like,
to him and be like, big fan of Hairspray?
No, Jack was like, he pointed to him after and was like, that's the producer of Hairspray. And I'm like, should I tell him I like his movie or?
I was like,
nah.
Imagine
I like your movie.
Like,
which one?
Yeah. Which
Hairspray.
Hairspray. Oh, I figured. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's an interesting pick for your first one, Brandon.
I know.
Good to see it. Good to see it make the list and finally have this conversation, especially with Jack here, because we did all have a very deep conversation after we saw it for the first time. So
we did.
If only we recorded it. You all should have been there. It was great. We're not going to repeat it here, but you should have been there.
Come to our address tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well,
it's probably the most interesting conversation we've ever had, like even outside of the show. So, sucks for you. Should have been friends with us. All right, Chris, what is your first nostalgia movie?
My first movie is a film that I think I've become infamously synonymous with in our friend group. Everyone knows I love this movie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you... Ethan, I wonder if you're guessing the right one, but it is a 1998 film directed by Richard Martin. It is Air Bud 2, A Golden Receiver.
I didn't know if it was Air Bud 1 or 2, but I knew it was an Air Bud movie.
Basketball sucks. If you don't love the pigskin with all your heart, like a good old American boy.
D1 football dad.
I'm a D1 football dog. You know what I'm saying? But okay, so Air Bud 2, yeah, it is the sequel to the infamous Air Bud. And yeah, it's in this movie, not only does Air Bud know how to play basketball, his owner, I think his name is Josh, learns that he also knows how to play football, American football. And yeah, they he joins a football team, they kick ass, they have a team they're going up against. Very standard, like very like Air Buddy kind of thing. But what makes this movie really special for me is the insanity of its two major subplots. First, his mom, who is a widow, begins dating again. and he has a whole conflict with adjusting to like his mom, kind of moving forward in her life, and him not being ready to let go of the past. And then the second subplot, there are Russian like animal abusers basically, who like go to this small town in the middle of pretty much nowhere to steal specifically Air Bud so that they can bring him back to Russia and like make him play at a circus basically. There is a monkey in this movie, and this monkey is insane. Yeah, and also like I'll be honest, like for whatever reason, this movie like hits me real hard for whatever reason. There's a sequence where Josh, like spoiler alert for Air Bud 2. There's a sequence where Josh wants to run away, and he's at a train station, and he's about to like get on the train and leave, and his football coach sits down next to him, who happens to be there as well, even though he's not going anywhere. And yeah, they just have a really like emotional conversation about like the future and how like I don't know, it just struck with me. And yeah, I know this is not a popular movie. I feel like I'm the only person in the universe who gave this movie a 4.5, but I think it's a lot of fun. It's very innocent, very stupid, but that's kind of the fun in it for me. And yeah, it's nostalgic. I think that's the interesting thing about nostalgia for me. It's like quality doesn't matter very much to me when it comes to nostalgia. It's all about like my experience with it, having grown up or whatever. And yeah. So Air Bud 2. Have any of you guys seen this movie?
I have never seen an Air Bud movie. I've only seen one movie by the Air Bud Productions, and that's MVP 2, Most Vertical Chimp. Where the chimp from the first movie who used to play hockey, now he skateboards. And it's a great time.
Incredible.
No, I have never seen any Air Bud movies.
Ethan, considering you're such like you're a big like dog lover, like
I know, I love
like,
golden retrievers.
You should check these out. Yeah. Jack, you've seen this movie.
I've seen this movie. I've seen all of the Air Buds. I haven't seen all the Air Buddies, but I like cannot tell you how many times in my childhood I quoted the I think it's Air Bud 3. It's like the volleyball one. I might be wrong.
That's Air Bud 4.
All right, you're right.
believe.
Chris, you need to go on Twitter
Chaotic
right now
marathon.
and put Air Bud enthusiast in your bio.
Air Bud.
Honestly, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm not kidding.
But like I still remember quoting, it's this kid who has kind of like a lisp, and his grandma just buys him all the ice cream he wants. And as a kid, I was like, that's the coolest thing in the freaking world. And he has this catchphrase where he's like, ice cream. I love ice cream. And I just remember that was the funniest, like that was peak comedy to me as a kid. So Air Bud 2, I'm very thankful for the Air Bud cinematic universe, the ACU. But yeah, it's a great film. It's very heartwarming. And if you can get past the fact that like a dog just replaced how many kids who tried out for varsity football, like, yeah, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon?
My nostalgia for television. There's a line in television that is much like the ice cream line for me, and that's from Brady Bunch, and it's pork chops and applesauce. I used to say that all the time. People used to laugh at me. But anyway, Air Bud. Yeah, Air Bud. I don't remember Air Bud 2. I don't think I've seen it. I think I've only seen the first Air Bud movie. Chris, we need to do a marathon of these films.
Dude, you guys are gonna lose your shit when you watch the Air Buddies, because they get all magical and shit. There's Santa Dog. Or Santa Paws, if you will.
Here's the thing. I think Air Bud started the cinematic universe, really. Like, if we're talking, like, crossovers and stuff like that, let's be honest here. That's Air Bud's job. He did that.
That's true.
Eat your heart out, Marvel.
That's the impact of Air Bud. Brandon's thesis, or Chris's thesis coming.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my first pick.
All right. Okay. Well, that's a good pick. Can't have nostalgia for Chris without Air Bud. I think that's... Come on, that's a fact. All right. So for my first pick for these nostalgia movies, I want to make a little disclaimer that all of my picks are animated films, because when I was a kid,
you were a cartoon kid.
I was a cartoon, like, super strict about that. I refused to watch anything that was live action unless it was like big blockbusters like Star Wars or Jurassic Park or
You fiend.
Stuff like that. I was like, cartoons are meant for kids, and that's all I should be watching. So that's what I did. All right. So my first nostalgia pick is probably like one of earliest films I've seen. I haven't seen it in years, but this is like my nostalgia pick where it's like the memories of this movie are like buried deep within your brain, and sometimes they'll just appear, and and sometimes it's like scary, but sometimes it's also like kind of comforting, My first pick is a 1987 movie directed by Jerry Reese. It's The Brave Little Toaster.
Oh.
Ooh.
Now,
Ooh.
what?
Dude,
Brandon just sounds like he just watched like a motorcycle crash or something. Shit.
Oh, shut up.
You
Oh,
got Brandon
fuck.
moaning on the podcast right now.
Oh.
Ew.
Son, what are you listening to in there?
Nothing.
So The Brave Little Toaster, it's basically, I just realized it's basically the plot of Toy Story 3, where it's a toaster and his appliance pals. There's like a vacuum, a blanket, a lamp. What else is there? I think that's
Radiator.
it. The radiator fucking, he couldn't hack it. He offs himself at the beginning of the movie, which is pretty fucking insane. But they're like, it's like Toy Story where these appliances, like, they love serving their homeowner, right? Which was like this little boy that grew up in this childhood home. And you flash forward through the years, and then the boy is moving out. He's moving to college, right? And the toaster and his friends realize that the house is being sold, and they're like being sold with the house. So The Brave Little Toaster is about these appliances going on this cross-country journey to reunite with themselves with the little boy. And it's got some crazy imagery, like the radiator killing himself at the beginning of the movie, which which was kind of scarring for me, and as well as the scenes with the like these weird dream sequences that the blanket and the toaster have about reuniting with their boy, but then like something goes wrong and like the house lights on fire and there's like an evil clown and stuff like that. I'm gonna be honest, I have not seen this movie in a while, and I don't remember like the exact details of what happens in The Brave Little Toaster. I just remember I've seen it so many times as a kid, and it was very formative in my understanding of emotion in cinema. It was through these appliances. So yeah, The Brave Little Toaster. That's my first pick. What do you guys think about The Brave Little Toaster?
I remember renting Brave Little Toaster and then getting Fern Gully instead at Blockbuster. They messed with me. They trolled me. But when I eventually did get to see Brave Little Toaster, it's okay. I don't remember any specific moments other than the radiator committing suicide. But I mean, I remember enjoying it as a kid. For me, I remember it being more as like, this is a movie for kids who are kind of crazy, who are willing to go a little dark and deeper. You know what I mean?
A little unhinged, if you will. Kind of sick and twisted, like me when I was a kid.
And I
sounds like a normal movie to me.
I thought it was okay, but I didn't think anything of it. Personally, it's a Toy Story 1 and 2 film. You know, it's like very similar to both of those in terms of
came out before
story.
them.
Yeah, it did. But honestly, Toy Story is better because it's more wholesome, from what I remember. But yeah.
Jack, have you seen The Brave Little Toaster?
Dude, I haven't seen this, but the poster slaps.
It's a great poster.
It's a phenomenal poster. Like, this is the type of thing I could see on like a t-shirt, like a white t-shirt being sold at Target, and like people wear it, but they haven't actually seen the movie. That's what I would do.
Oh, yeah.
But, I'm very excited to watch it. I feel like I need to see it, especially from
I want to
1987.
watch it
We should watch this sometime.
We definitely should. Chris, what about you? Brave Little Toaster?
Never seen it.
Have you ever heard of it?
No, actually, never even so much as heard of it. Is this a musical?
Have you heard of a toaster, Chris?
Have you heard of a toaster?
What?
It's just brave
What's
and little.
that?
A brave
a little, like, how's a toaster brave?
It's an animated documentary about a toaster. Comes to life.
Guys, when you're working with a toaster, be brave. Take risks with your toaster. Is what.
Shout out to
our good friend.
All right, well, that was my last pick. So Jack, let's get into the second round here with your second nostalgia pick.
All right, second nostalgia pick. This one is one of the. All right, I think this is gonna replace Big Fat Liar in my top 4 favorite films. But this one was incredibly inspiring to me as a kid. It still is. He's one of my favorite directors, and this is one of the movies that showed me the magic of what movie making can be. And there's one particular invention that I'm still waiting for it to be made. The sequel to this film has one of the greatest Steve Buscemi quotes of all time. I'm talking about 2001's Spy Kids. It is one like the nostalgia film. It's so good. Robert Rodriguez has such a talent for telling like grounded stories that are about family and fun and like comedy and adventure. It's everything I want in a movie and more. It's got really weird things as well, like the floops, I think they're called. I don't know how that didn't traumatize me as a kid, like these little drawings, but I just remember watching it over and over again. I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. Like your parents could be spies and you had no idea. So awesome. And one day when each of my brothers gets married and I get married, I want to have a photo like Machete does in it of him and and their dad. But like it's so good. The invention I was talking about, by the way, was the one where she slides a packet, like Carmen slides a pocket into the oven or like the microwave, and it comes out as like a full-on McDonald's meal. That's gonna be so cool when it happens. I want to make that happen,
please.
But yeah, that's my film.
That'd be so perfect.
Ultimate nostalgia, and Cody looks like a thumb. So
Cody does look like a thumb.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cody.
Sorry, Cody.
Sorry, Cody.
It's kind of true.
All right, what do you guys think about Spy Kids? It is a classic.
Yeah, I love this movie too, Jack. This was like one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid too. Like this and like I think Sky High were like one of those movies that like I always just kept replaying for whatever reason. And yeah, like this is a fantastic movie. I think like it's a lot of fun. Very like you could tell this movie was made like by someone who has such a heart and mind of a child, but in like the best way possible. Like not to say like
this movie was made by a
Rodriguez is
child.
like immature or anything, but like he has such a grasp on like what fascinates children and is able to like convey it so like wonderfully. And like, you know, something as simple as like, oh, there's like a secret door behind the freaking like coat closet, like something like that is just like, I don't know, there was something so cool about that growing up. And like you said, Jack, that microwave thing, that little like, I don't even know how to describe it, it's like a submarine boat thing that like they go underwater with it. And like I don't know, like, and what's his name, Floops Foglies or something.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
Wow, those things are twisted. Yeah, and yeah, the spy gear is awesome. Like I think they call them like rebreathers or something, so they can like breathe underwater while they swim. I don't know. It's cool. I dig it. I really dig this movie.
And like the bubble gum that chews and then turns into like electric when you spit it.
Yeah.
Coolest thing in the world.
Yeah. I think yeah, this is a crazy movie. Like Robert Rodriguez is like he's an auteur, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When you see a Robert Rodriguez movie, you know it's his, you know? He just has like that insane, like whether you like it or not. Sometimes I don't like it, like with Shark Boy and Lava Girl and We Can Be Heroes. But I think
Guppy.
Guppy. But I think for here in Spy Kids, it's like it's a fucking tone, you know? It's such a choice, honestly. And I think it really has a fun time playing with like the idea and the fascination kids have with spy movies and stuff like that, you know? Like making the gear like some of the most fun parts of the movie, you know? And but it's such a weird plot with like this weird castle and these weird freak mutants. I was like the thumbs scared the fuck out of me as a kid, which is why like I can't say it was nostalgic for me because I tried to avoid this movie as much as I could because the weird freaks and thumbs, they scared the living shit out of me.
Ethan is not pro
thumb people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think thumb people should vote. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I hate to get political on this podcast, but like,
sorry, Cody, you lost your voting rights.
Sorry, Cody.
I prefer
Brandon.
Spy Kids 2.
What happens in Spy Kids 2?
they go to an
the
island.
Lost Island or something, mysterious
And then-
island or
So
something.
it's like
Yeah.
dinosaurs in it? I don't know.
Yeah, basically. They're hybrid creatures that Steve Buscemi, the mad scientist, makes. And to me,
Ah.
that was cooler because it not only that, it ripped off, not ripped.
Brandon, you and your mad scientist.
It homaged Jason and the Argonauts with the skeletons in that movie, and I
Oh,
loved them playing with these like miniature CGI animals and then making them like larger than life. Because at first you think, oh, this can't be real, but they actually like created these magnificent and terrifying creatures. And I love them. I love that movie. The first one I'm okay with, but it doesn't go as hard as the second one and the third one do, because those movies like they played with 3D, they played with concepts regarding like hybridization, which is really cool, and like treasure and adventure films. Whereas the first one is more of a straightforward riff on like spy movies for kids. And I couldn't agree more. The inventions in the Spy Kids movies are probably some of the coolest things in existence, like all of them, not just the first or second one, all of them, even the crappy fourth one got cool gadgets. That's what it's got going for it.
With Stallone.
Hey you. That's
All right, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
We talked a very brief when Jack introduced this movie. He introduced like the sequel has one of the greatest lines ever uttered by Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Now, for me, there are two amazing lines he utters in this film. I don't know which one's your guys' favorite. And I think the one that most people agree is the best one is, do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created? And I swear in the background you can see Junie and Carmen going, the fuck is what? That was in the script. But I also love the part where like I think that what's the name of that device? Like the transmoker or something? Transmoker? Something like that?
Transmoker.
That little device.
The weird magnet thing.
Yeah, that weird magnet thing. And then he said, and then it starts like doing some shit and the world's shaking. And it's like, what's going on? And then he said, you activated the transmoker. What does that mean? The world will shut down instantly. So I don't know.
Also, the second Spy Kids also gave us one of the greatest gifts, which is like that. It's like the sunglasses, the green sunglasses that have those things that just keep coming out go closer and closer and closer. It's like the inspector glasses. Like that is a god tier gift. So I'm also very thankful for that. This is mainly like nostalgic for me because I just know somewhere out there, I think there is some kid who looks like me, but who's looking for like my little brain thing that Antonio Banderas made. So I'm just waiting to meet them one day because they're gonna be like, dude, what the frick? But yeah, that's my second one. So, anyways, thank you.
Cool.
Great film.
Great pick.
All right, Brandon, what's your number 2, man? Come on, man. What's your number 2, man?
Oh, my number 2, man, is 2001 film. I know Jack likes.
I thought you were gonna say 2001: A Space Odyssey. I remember it well. I saw it in theaters when I was a kid.
Back in the old days when I was how old was I? No, exactly. Is 2001 film. 2001 was a big year for nostalgic films, wasn't it? Max Keeble's Big Move.
Yes, let's go.
Max Keeble's Big Move. This is I think it's like a Nickelodeon feature, or it feels very Nickelodeon, but maybe it was like under the Disney label. It was an early 2000s film about this kid who finds out he's moving, and instead of like trying to, learn like to move on with life and such, he decides to not tell anybody that he's moving and pull off the greatest pranks of all time on people at his school who have wronged him, meaning bullies, meaning people who have used him and his friends, and this evil ice cream fellow and their stupid principal, who I forget who plays him, but he's a great character actor in kids television, and you'll recognize him when you see him. But this movie is insane. Like, the comedy is next level. It's everything you want as a kid. Josh Peck is great in it. Like, he's so good as Max Keeble's friend, and like so high energy.
Yeah, his Josh Peck literally plays a character named Robe, and it's the greatest thing
because he wears a robe all the time.
He wears a robe.
Yeah. And it's like the things in this movie are so intricately crafted that it's like kind of insane. Like, the energy level is just so high up there. I remember watching this movie so many times, and when I found it on DVD freshman year of college, I had to buy it. Also, Magoogle is me name. I like a swampy frog. It's so scary. That terrified me as a kid. Now it's the most funny thing ever, I swear.
What the fuck? I've never heard of this movie in my life.
There's a monkey in it, Ethan.
There's a monkey in it?
There's a zoo of animals in this movie.
There's a monkey in my bathroom. Someone get this bitch a banana. What do you guys think about this movie?
I've never seen this movie. Never even actually heard of it. I mean, I just looked it up on Letterboxd. You said this was a Nickelodeon production?
Brandon?
Was it?
Unclear because I think it's Disney, right? But like it like breathes Nickelodeon film. You know what I mean? Like it's the Nickelodeon type.
Right.
But it's I think it's under like the Disney label.
Oh, okay.
It's on Disney Plus. All right. Well, Jack, what do you think about Max Keeble?
All right. I can speak about this movie enough for Chris and Ethan. This is an ultimate, like early 2000s, like suburban kid movie because it starts with this opening scene, right? Alarm clock goes off. This kid, Max Keeble, dresses up, cool sunglasses, hops on his bike, gets on his morning job. He's a hard worker, you know. He's a paper boy. So he starts throwing his, he's throwing his papers on the houses, whatever. And that's when like the ice cream truck driver comes in and he's evil. And he's like shooting ice cream from his like ice cream cone on top of his car or his truck. And it's just the coolest scene in the world. And he like defeats the guy, saves the girl, his hot neighbor, of course, whatever, who's older. So he's into that. But it's like the coolest scene. And then he wakes up and he's just like back to his regular life. And he's like, oh, and it's just the coolest thing in the world. Like I remember watching it as a kid there's the one part where he's riding his bike. And you know how sometimes you'll see like those, like tow trucks with their ramp like laid down for cars to go up.
Oh yeah.
And this kid takes his bike and goes up it and like crashes on top of the ice cream truck. It's the coolest thing. I just remember as a kid, anytime I rode my bike, I was like, I'm going to be Max Keeble. And then I would crash. But it's one of those movies that's better in memory. So it should stay nostalgia, but it's a lot of fun. If this movie set me up cause I was homeschooled until 9th grade. So this movie gave me unrealistic expectations for what high school's actually like. I thought getting dumped in like dumpsters of spaghetti was like a normal thing, even though it's the first day of school.
You show up, you're like, all right, where's the dumpster of spaghetti? Come on.
Getting swirlies and stuff like that in the
getting swirlies, having a friend named Robe. There's also a really great lunch food fight scene in it.
Oh,
where this kid has a tuba. This kid has a tuba, and he hooks up the mustard container to it, and then blows, and mustard goes flying out of his tuba at all these kids. It's hilarious.
It's so cool. It's so good.
You expected to have a friend named Rope. You're like, okay, where's Rope? Come on,
where's Rope? Where's the guy? Instead,
so I'm looking for a kid. Like he wears a robe. His name is Rope. Is he in school?
Do I have to be that guy? Do I have to be Robe? I think so.
Oh, I have to be Robe. All right.
But yeah,
all right.
It's definitely. Oh, it's also got Lil Bow Wow in it.
Yeah,
Bow Wow.
Lil Bow Wow. So
it really does scream early 2000s, doesn't it, Jack?
It very much looks like it.
Yeah. This
all
is
right.
a fun one.
Great pick, Brandon.
Thank you.
Chris, let's go into your second.
Woo. All right. Well, a lot of these movies, I think, because of nostalgia, obviously, a lot of these movies tend to be like from our childhood.
Yeah.
Or like, but most of two of my three films are that. But I'm gonna switch it up a little bit for this one because this movie's nostalgic to me for a slightly different reason. This is a movie that means a lot to me and a lot of people from Hong Kong. It encapsulates an era that is very nostalgic to people from Hong Kong, the 90s, and is directed by probably the city's most prolific director, Wong Kar-wai. Mm-hmm. It is 1994's Chungking Express.
Wow.
Now,
our first big kid film.
Yeah. So why did I pick this movie? Like, how does it fit under this kind of nostalgia umbrella? But like the way that I've kind of begun to appreciate this film is that This film very much feels like a relic in time. A movie that was made in the 90s and encapsulates what it means to be from Hong Kong in the 90s. There's a certain aesthetic and feeling in this film that has very much been lost to time. Hong Kong simply just doesn't look like this anymore, nor does it feel like this anymore. There was this kind of like mystifying, kind of nostalgic, melancholic kind of energy that used to kind of pervade over the city. But now it's kind of become a lot more volatile of a city in that regard. So that's why this movie is so nostalgic to me, because it encapsulates that kind of it is that, like, the significance of this film is that it's nostalgic. And I mean, yeah, the way this film's made, like the imagery and the music is so nostalgic. Everything kind of blurs together. Time, as usual with Wong Kar-wai, kind of just like is distorted and lost into like memory and everything. And yeah, I don't know. I think this is it's a movie that's very much, it's all about the way you feel when you watch the movie, less about the logic and the flow of the narrative. It's about how you as a viewer are positioned. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, yeah, very nostalgic for me. And yeah, it's one of those movies that I recognize as like can be a little bit like what to people who aren't from Hong Kong, because you know it is kind of a weird movie, like, let's be real. But yeah, I don't know. What do you? I mean, like, Brandon, Ethan, we saw this movie in Film Aesthetics together. Yeah. Jack, have you seen Chungking?
I haven't. This is actually on my watch list of movies I wanted to watch with you, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to make that happen sometime.
I've been saving. I would love to get some food in like the circle and watch it with you.
I want to rewatch it like really bad, because like I said when we were talking about Fallen Angels, like Chungking, like, I don't know. I think I was just too smooth-brained, freshman brain to understand that movie. I'm gonna be honest. And I was like, it's so annoying. I have two stories, and all the leaves are brown. I get it, you know. But
all the leaves are brown.
But there's a serious like melancholy to this movie that I just, like, now looking back on it, I just really appreciate. And it does, like, there is a serious genre of nostalgia that that I didn't even think about. Like, that, I'm glad you brought this up, because it's like there are these movies that invoke, like, that you've never seen before, but you feel like you've known them their whole life, you know? I feel like I'm going through that a lot now with like retro anime that I'm checking out and stuff like that, and I think the whole lo-fi genre sort of gives you those feelings, you know? Like the stuff that Jack works on. Check it out, SoundCloud, Amateur Lover. But yeah, I think this is a great pick, because I can totally understand, like, sort of a cultural nostalgia around this time period. Brandon?
It's a good film. I like half of it. I like half of it a lot, actually. The other half I'm not a big fan of. I think the frame rate and the style is not mine to like. I just don't think it's... But outside of that, I think the story, at least the second story, is actually really great. The relationship between both of those people in this neon-lit city is terrifically captured, and, like Ethan said, very melancholic. Mm-hmm. And I dig that. I think Wong Kar-wai works best in that, like, kind of foray with, like, those themes.
Yeah, I think, like, he's very good at, like, small contained scenes with two characters. Like, flawless work there. But yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like he like knows, like, how to get intimacy out on camera, even if not the characters, but the actors aren't involved that way. You know what I mean? And there's always this personal nature and relation, and like very personal thing that the viewer is kind of let in on when you watch his films. And I think that's most prevalent in The Mood for Love, but definitely in the second half of this film too. Like I said, not a fan of like the first like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but after that really picks up for me. So yeah, good.
Hell yes. All right.
I'm excited to watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make that happen.
Let's make it happen. Let's get on it. All right. My second pick is a 1993 film. It is the best 1993 film that is a Spielberg production about dinosaurs. Can you guess what movie it is?
Is this Jaws?
It is We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. That's right, baby.
What?
You got John Goodman. You got Jay Leno. All right. let me tell you what this movie's about.
Steven Spielberg.
He produced it. He didn't direct it, but he produced it. It came out the same year as Jurassic Park, and this movie is amazing. So
Ethan,
it's about.
You just unlocked a memory. I've seen this movie. I haven't seen this poster since I was like 8.
It's all coming back now, right?
Yeah. Wow.
This
oh
looks
my
like
God.
Norm of the North with dinosaurs.
It's the same poster.
The poster.
It
looks like the poster.
It's the same poster.
Put it on screen. It's in Jack and I's kitchen. I'm not even joking.
Oh my God, so similar. So this movie is about an alien who travels, a time traveling alien voiced by Jay Leno, who travels to the time of the dinosaurs and adopts. It's a scientist and an alien. So the scientist works with the alien to travel back in time. A scientist is like a normal human. Who is that? That looks like a methed up Tom Cruise.
That's one of the voice actors.
Oh.
Charles Fleischer.
Anyways, sorry, continue. Charles Fleischer. And they take some dinosaurs and they feed them like this brain food that makes them smart. And like, it's this cool thing where like the dinosaurs are drawn like what dinosaurs look like, but once they eat the brain food, they become cartoony and they like grow the cartoony eyes and stuff like that. And what these time travelers do is they make kids' wishes, dreams come true. So there's like some kids that wish for dinosaurs in like New York in the 90s. So what the scientist does is he drops off the dinosaurs to go to this museum so like the kids can visit the dinosaurs. But then a bunch of hijinks ensue and the dinosaurs get lost in New York. Then they meet some kids and they join a creepy circus. There's like this dude with like a bolt for an eye, and he has like a bunch of ravens. It's really scary. John Goodman voices a T-Rex, and that's like, it's just like perfect voice to dinosaur, I guess. I don't know. And it's a really good time. It's got really good animation too. It's like surprisingly good animation.
Sounds like Barney's Great Adventure to me.
But it's better because it's got John Goodman in it. And yeah, it's a really like messed up film that like Brave Little Toaster was sitting in the back of my brain for like the longest time. But then one night like I brought it up with Sasha and they remembered this movie too, so we watched it together and we're like, wait, this is actually still pretty good. So I just wanted to bring it up here because I know a lot of people haven't seen this, or have just forgotten about it, like Chris. So there you have it, Chris. What do you think of the movie now that you like? I've triggered this memory for you.
This reminds me a lot about like my experience with Big Fat Liar, where like I remember a series of images, but absolutely nothing about the film.
Right.
So like, I mean, I just remember like, okay, the thing that it might be a placebo thing, but I swear like this is the most familiar thing in the world to me. Like this poster, I swear like I've seen this before, and I've seen this movie, and I swear I had the DVD growing up because this is such a familiar image to me.
And it's one of the most like iconic sequences in the film of them like they join the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade or something like that, and everyone just thinks they're like floats, and then like they sing this big old song while they're marching on the street. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's all on YouTube.
The whole movie's on. Yeah, I think that's how we watched it. It was just on YouTube.
Sounds like Tower Heist.
It's like Tower Heist. Yes, it's the same universe as Tower Heist, actually. Believe it or not. Yeah. Brandon, Jack. So you've never seen this film before? Never even heard of it?
I've only seen the poster, and I don't even know what to think of it.
It's pretty good. You guys should check it out.
I would want to watch it, and then like I really want to do this with you all, but I want to watch a movie and write a sequel to it after, like just beat by beat an outline for the sequel, like a really terrible sequel or anything. But I think that would be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to watch
extinct.
That would be fun.
Set it in today.
It'll be like We're Back 2. Now we're even more back, where they go back to the dinosaurs because they're going back. It'll be called We're Back to Back. You know what I'm saying?
And they try and stop their own extinction.
Yes. All right. All right. We'll work on this sequel later. After we can
next stacked. Yeah.
All right, Jack. We're going into the final round here. What is your last nostalgia movie pick?
All right. if this one isn't in the final 3, I'm gonna be surprised. This is my big gun. I've been saving this one. It's one of my favorite films of all time. It is incredibly nostalgic for me. The director is one of my favorite directors. I find everything they do wonderful, and I have a personal connection to this movie through knowing someone who was in it. This one is very nostalgic, very old. It is 2019's The Parasite. No, I'm just kidding.
The Parasite.
Yeah, The Parasite, not
Sorry,
Parasite. Where's Justin Timberlake? Drop the. No, but it is 2004's The Incredibles.
Oh,
yeah. There you
Ultimate
go.
nostalgia movie. So this is one of the very first movies I remember seeing, but I remember having the video game to it, and it had an end
I
credit.
did too.
It had an ending scene with the Molinator, or what? No, is that his name? The Molinator.
The Underminer.
The Underminer. That's right. The Molinator is from Santa Claus 3. But anyways, or 2.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. You got it, Brandon. But anyways, The Incredibles, it's just one of those movies that I think beat for beat is one of the tightest scripts. It's so well made. It's at a point where Pixar really, I think Brad Bird came in from Warner Brothers, I believe, and he had just done Iron Giant, and so the Pixar team was like hesitant to trust him, but they're like, we'll make it work. And just hearing the stories about the culture he created when he was making this movie with everyone inspires me as a leader and a director or a writer to just come in and get everyone in the team to perform at their highest. And this film is so fun. It has so much heart. The video game's great. I had just so many great memories from this. And it is attached to my soul. So please don't break it. I'm very curious to know what you all think about it.
I don't think anyone's gonna break that soul of yours, Jack, because this movie is amazing. What's your connection to the film? You said you have a connection to someone who worked on it.
Oh yeah. So she's a great friend and she's a wonderful person. One of my residents, so I was an RA my sophomore year and junior year of college, but sophomore year, I met Maeve Andrews. She was the voice of Jack as a baby, and it wasn't
Maeve is Jack, right?
Yeah,
What?
it wasn't like I got casted because I had an agent at 2. Like, no, she was just a baby. And her dad, Mark Andrews, the director of Brave, was working for Pixar on it, and he just like came home and recorded, some goo goo gagas. He could have cast Brandon.
Gaga.
Yeah, but
Wow.
anyways,
Cast him right now for Incredibles 3.
boom.
I don't know.
But yeah, so Maeve did some voices, and she's still a really close friend. But yeah, it's just a great movie, great people. Really appreciate it.
All right. Well, yeah, I love The Incredibles. It's definitely a top tier Pixar movie, and yeah, I'd say it's pretty nostalgic. Just like it was just so unique as that one that was like non-Marvel, non-DC superhero film that just everyone just came together and were just like, this is amazing, Like I think it does a great job also capturing, kind of going into what Chris was saying. It was like capturing like a nostalgia for a time of like the 60s, and just The Incredibles. Did Michael Giacchino do the score for the first one?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that one's incredible. Just the
Yeah,
art,
incredible.
the art, the production design, incredible.
Yeah.
Edna mode, incredible. Yeah, it just sort of created this whole culture around superheroes and the genre around it, through with the character of Edna Mode, sort of like critiquing like capes, like no capes and stuff like that.
No capes.
And it's a really solid family drama as well, about a father like wanting to relive his glory days, which I think, I don't know, maybe a lot of dads or middle-aged people probably have gone through, Yeah, and it's just a very sweet film. What do you guys think about the old Incredibles?
I think this is one of Pixar's best films. It's not my personal favorite because I very much gravitate towards like Pixar's like more like emotional based, like the ones that make me cry. That tends to hit more for me with Pixar's works. But
Like
Incredibles
Ratatouille.
is but yeah, Incredibles, like it's a fantastic film. Like you said, Jack, the script is so tight. The characters are great. The world building's fantastic. Ethan, the craft of the film, like you said, is fantastic. The production design, the editing is fast and quick, but it works so flawlessly. Yeah, it's just a really fun movie, and like it balances this kind of like the movie like has like some very dark undertones. Like there's a whole sequence of like when Bob is like on the computer and like realizing the full extent of what Syndrome is doing, and he's discovering that this person's committing genocide.
Yeah.
And it's very dark. But like the way the themes are handled in this film, and the way like it's approached with this kind of like child friendly but still not like hampering to them. Like I feel like it's easy for a lot of like these like child friendly movies to become like very pandering to children, but I think this movie does a great job of making it like it's child friendly but still very accessible to adults. And I think that's why Pixar is a great film studio as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a great pick. Brandon,
And
what
on
do you
top
think?
of that, Chris, on top of that, by the way, there's also that subplot of like Helen thinks that Bob is cheating on her.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so like if you took all of those things and explained it to someone, they'd be like, "Oh, this is like rated R or like PG-13, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Absolutely.
Brandon?
Sorry, Brandy, go ahead.
The best Fantastic Four movie.
Yes.
Yes.
The only good Fantastic Four.
The only good.
Sorry, Incredibles 2. You're Incredibles. Now more. I think Incredibles 2 is meh. But Incredibles, the first Incredibles, I remember loving when I first saw it. Even with a bland kind of color palette, like they still find a way to make this intriguing family drama work immensely well. You know, because like it's so brown and gray. As soon as they get to the island, it's like got reds and greens, and it's excellent. The action is great. The humor's pretty good. I got called Dash by my parents because of this movie, because I was always so hyper and fast and crazy. And yeah, so I kind of find this to be a good pick. Now I haven't rewatched it in a while, and I don't think it's my favorite. I don't even think it's in my top 5 anymore. I agree with Chris, but I still think it is one of Pixar's best. The top 10 easy. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, you think bland? Get out of here.
It's got a very bland visual palette. Like, watch it again.
I wouldn't
swear.
say bland. I would just say
You watch
muted.
it again.
Like, it's interesting. I think it's like it has to do with Are they going to fight? What?
Hold on, I need to drop this chair off the cliff. Brandon, you should hear them. They're saying you're wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong. No, I think it's not bland. I think it's just muted because of the technology that they had. I don't know. Like I don't think the coloring could work because you can see that in Pixar's earlier films. Like it's very muted, and I just think that has to do with the technology they had. But anyways,
Okay.
I think it's based in character and story for a specific effect.
No, that's definitely the case. But only on the
yeah.
island, I think there's really like a lot of big color to it.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brandon, take us into your last nostalgic film.
Well, everybody, the reason I left was not because I was angry, but because I'm just about to have some cheese.
Oh no! Oh no!
No!
What?
Are you
No, I know
actually
what
eating?
this is.
Are you actually eating cheese?
It's Were Rabbit, isn't? Is it
Is that
Were
my
Rabbit?
cheese?
No,
You're
this is
eating
my
like
cheese.
you're eating shredded Mexican like shredded cheese.
This is my cheese. I bought my own Mexican cheese just for this bit. Oh
gosh.
I have Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trousers.
You picked
The
a
wrong
short
trousers.
I nostalgic.
Yeah.
Nostalgic.
And it's on Letterboxd, so I'll allow it.
Yeah, I have not. I have a great love for stop motion films. I was a big fan of them growing up. And Nick Parks, one of his first, I think it was actually the second Wallace and Gromit film, is about a penguin who moves in with Wallace and Gromit and wreaks havoc on their lives because of these nice little trousers that Wallace has, and they're great. They're great, and this is one of the funniest like mile per minute laugh fests ever. Like the penguin Feathers McGraw is terrific. It's terrific. The visual humor there is great. The little train gag with Gromit is great as well. Wallace being asleep most of the time while he like tries to steal like these diamonds from a museum is also great. There's just so much to love about this movie, and it encapsulates like some of my favorite humor ever in a film. Like it's up there with their other one, A Grand Day Out, which they go to the moon, which is made of cheese in the film.
No, it's not. It just looks like it is, and they eat it anyways.
Yeah. No, that's not true. You're gone. Get out of here. Don't ruin my childhood.
Okay.
Nostalgic.
He said no, actually.
No, actually. No, man. I was close to picking in Wallace and Gromit for mine because I think I share the same nostalgia you do, but I just didn't want to pick a short film. But I'll allow you picking one for your list. It's not like I have anything to do to not allow it. Anyways, I never understood why people saw this one as the best one. I always thought Grand Day Out was the best one. Like that's just like
those are my top 2.
Like Grand Day Out, like that one's a fucking trip. I love it so much, and it's got like it's very spaced because they're on the moon, and it's just got a very heartwarming story of that moon robot and stuff like that. But yeah, the Nate Park's like his old stop motion aesthetic sort of it defined a whole medium of animation, don't you think? Like I think it's him and like Ray Harryhausen, his stop motion, and Nate Park, like those two up there. But yeah, those Wallace and Gromit films, they're so good, and I'm glad we're talking about them because it's like what a duo. And I'm also surprised like that they haven't been touched by like Hollywood or something like that to like play off of the nostalgia of them, because I think a lot of people do share the same nostalgia that we do, Brandon, and like there's still reference today online and stuff like that, but like nobody does anything with them. And
well, Aardman has made their one Wallace and Gromit movie.
And that was a while ago, though, right? That was like in 2009 or something.
Didn't that win Best Animated Feature?
It did.
2009.
The Were-Rabbit movie? Yeah.
Yeah. And that
I don't know
good.
if it...
I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember enjoying it.
I think it's like the weakest Aardman movie.
Oh,
but
yeah?
I think it's because Wallace and Gromit benefits from being like a 30-minute to 45-minute thing and not a 90-minute thing.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Wallace and Gromit? Chris, you do one of the best Wallace impressions I know.
What shall I for the podcast do it?
Yes.
God, now I'm on the spot. I can't do it. Why don't you come in? We were just about to have some cheese.
Not even Wensleydale.
Yeah. Wallace and Gromit are like the epitome of like, for me, like animated, like dry British humor, which I am a big fan of because I grew up around that kind of humor.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Frankly, I'm more of a Shaun the Sheep kind of guy. I'm more about the optimism of that. But Wallace and Gromit is a lot of fun. I think they have such an endearing friendship, even though they don't really do much in like when they're just like chilling. But like something about the relationship is so like fun to watch. It's kind of like you guys ever have like a friend who's like no matter what they do, it's really entertaining? Yeah, actually that's Brandon. But we all point at Brandon.
Hello, how's it going?
But
that's me.
But yeah, like
Brandon has entered the group chat.
Hello.
But like literally, like that, like Wallace and Gromit could literally just be sitting in their living room talking about like whatever, and it's
paying the rent.
It's really entertaining, and like I don't know what it is about it, but it's also a very calming like duo. I think like it just feels like kind of ambient and nice, and like I don't know. I really dig the feeling that these movies give. Yeah, I dig it. Jack, have you seen any of the Wallace and Gromit stuff?
So I've seen them, but I was very like put off by them as a kid because they scared me. I think the animation style like the stop motion style scared me.
Yeah.
But it also just like I can't get this out of my head now that I think about it. That you said, Brandon. Wallace and Gromit both sound the same distance away from the word poggers. And later I'm going to have to hear Brandon say
What?
What?
If you say the word poggers, it could sound
Wallace,
like
Gromit,
Wallace, poggers, Gromit, poggers. Both
Wallace.
sound the
Poggers.
same.
Poggers.
Wallace.
Hello, everyone.
And Wallace and Gromit, like that kind of thing. I just really wanted to hear Brandon say that. That's this whole bit. But anyways, yeah, they just scared me as a kid. So like now I'm kind of just anytime I hear like you want some cheese, I'm just I just can't.
You just get the shivers. I understand.
get the shivers.
I've met a lot of people who were scared of Wallace and Gromit, so
Me too.
it's not an uncommon, Jack.
Hey, whoever named them Wallace and Gromit really got it on the nail though, because they are very clearly like a Wallace and a Gromit.
And like just the combo of Wallace and Gromit, like that shit like rolls off the tongue like so
Right.
well.
Gromit and Wallace exist in some alternate universe, and it's not as good.
What a sick and twisted world that is.
I think I'm gonna name my dog or child Gromit.
Oh please, your
Gromit
child
Winchester.
Gromit. Please name your child Gromit Winchester. Oh my god.
All right,
Can you
everyone.
imagine?
Next up in class is Mitt Winchester. Mitt is that short for like Mitchell? No.
That'll be
No.
so
Gromit.
funny.
Gromit.
Like, could you imagine like if all I always could you imagine if like we all had like brought like if all of our kids our future kids like had like were together and Ethan's like, oh, this is my daughter Evangelion Williams, and then Brand's like, oh, this is my son Gromit Winchester,
And my other son, Wallace Winchester.
Wallace Winchester's a good name though. That's like
Wallace.
that's like a superhero name, you know?
yeah, it's like
Wally West.
I'm Wallace Winchester. Yeah, it's like
Wallace
Wally West.
Winchester.
And then Gromit Winchester is just like that's a supervillain origin right there. That kid's
man,
gonna hate you.
that kid's parents didn't give him a chance.
I never thought about that. Like, people's names were probably Gromit. It's like the tweet where someone said, like, people's probably were named Kermit before the frog. You know?
Yeah.
And people probably stopped naming people Kermit after the frog. I wonder if that's the same with Gromit. Like, where'd that name come
Brandon's
from?
about to,
It had to be based on...
Brandon is about to be such a contrarian. He names his first two kids Kermit and Gromit.
Kermit and Gromit. That's actually good. Hey, Kermit. Hey, Gromit, come here.
Come here, Kermit.
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 Come here.
All right, let's move on. Chris, what is your final pick?
My final pick is a movie that I don't think many people ever really talk about. I don't think I've actually ever had much of a conversation about this movie with anyone. Because it was a movie that I think my mom and dad picked up for me, like from the video store, and like I never really had like I never met anyone who had seen this movie. Ethan, I think you might have seen it. Brandon, maybe. Jack, I don't know. It's a movie from what year is this? 2006, directed by John A. Davis. It is an animated film titled The Ant Bully.
Oh
Yeah.
man, the ant bully.
Is this the
I have
Communist
not seen it.
Manifesto?
This is the Communist Manifesto. I am not like as a kid, I like of course, as a kid, when I watched this movie, I was like, what a beautiful story about like the environment and friendship and sharing and being nice to people and being tolerant. And now I read it, I watch that movie, and I'm like, dang, they really lay on like the socialist rhetoric like thick in this movie. Like they really just go for it. And like it in a weird way, like it articulates that viewpoint from such a child-friendly and accessible way that it's hard not to kind of find yourself going like, okay, like yeah, it is a very endearing movie. Like as a kid, like a lot of the messages that this movie brings forward or like form the values that I hold like close to my heart to this day. And like yeah, I think it's a great movie about like empathy, like more than anything. It's a great movie about like a human meeting ants and realizing like these are people too, and like I shouldn't be like destroying their home because I'm for some sick reason. I don't know. There's something about it that was very endearing to me about like just like not judging people from the way they look or whatever, or like the way they live, which I think is awesome. And yeah, like it is a very weird concept. It is absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of like weird like poop jokes and shit. But I mean, kid movie. What do you want? Yeah, I think it's great. And like, there's some sequences in the movie that are a little bit creepy. Like when the kid, I forgot what his name is. Hova. No, wait, no, that's the girl.
Jehovah.
Jehovah. I don't know his name. But anyway, he like when he is first shrunk down to the size of an ant, him being abducted and brought into the ant hive is really creepy. The way the legs move, like, I don't know, it just looks creepy. And this cast is so stacked, huh? It is starring Julia Roberts, Meryl Streep, Nicolas Cage, Paul Giamatti, Bruce Campbell, and Regina King.
Wow.
What the fuck?
That's an Oscar. That's an Oscar like stack like of actors right there. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of fun. It's very endearing, very fun, a great adventure movie. Brandon, you've seen this movie. I just checked on Letterboxd. Ethan, you recognize this movie?
Yeah, but I gotta say before Brandon gives his piece, I actively avoided this movie because I was so disgusted by this kid's actions. I knew that like he would be redeemed, but I was like, I can't forgive this. I can't forgive someone putting this on screen. I refuse to see this movie.
It is pretty vile, the shit he does to those ants.
Yeah.
Like just kicking their home over. Like, dang.
It was so fucked up.
Yeah.
So Brandon, what'd you think of Ant Bully?
Bugs are just slimy little people. I mean, that's all I
That's
got.
true. I mean, I can't argue with that.
Larva Island reference for all you stackers out there.
There you go.
I'm okay with this movie. I think it has a good message about not bullying people, and about learning your lesson in the right way possible.
Don't bully people.
Don't bully people. All right. Imagine Brandon as like the headmaster of like a middle school.
People.
Hey, don't bully Fred.
Or
okay.
He's scolding his son Gromit. Gromit, don't bully people.
Just because you have a weird name, don't bully people. Oh boy, Lily Tomlin's in this movie too.
Yeah,
that's great. Oh my gosh, yeah. No, it's I think I need to rewatch this movie, but from what I remember, I really enjoy it. I think the animation is better than the other Ants movie that came out years earlier from, I believe it was DreamWorks. And I also think it has a better message that's more personal. But yeah, it's okay. There's nothing that stands out to me about it, to be honest.
This movie, okay. I was gonna say, this movie reminds me of this movie called Arthur and the Invisibles.
Now that I've seen.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
That is what this reminds me of. If you haven't seen it, I'm looking at it now. It had Robert De Niro, Madonna, Jason Bateman, Jimmy Fallon, David Bowie, and Snoop Dogg, as well as a bunch of other people. So if that cast, you know, and it's this one. If you remember it,
yeah,
I have it on DVD, Jack. Do I remember?
Oh, do you remember? I own it. It's like the quote from Big Fat Liar, like, "Have I seen it? I think I wrote it." But no, like this movie, I do remember seeing it, and I remember thinking all the time that I was out in my yard, and because I lived in Florida when I saw it, and they have like fire ants in Florida, which whoever made ants just created the fire version of them. They were like, how can we make this worse? Yeah. Make it fire.
Yo.
But make that idea, burn. Like every time I saw an ant, I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm like accidentally stepping on their homes. So homeschooled me was like really afraid to run in my yard. So I was like, I'm killing ants. And then I turned 5. But yeah, it's fun.
I grew the fuck up.
I'm allergic to ants.
Are you?
All kinds?
Yeah. I when I was a child, here's a story for the pod. I was out drawing as like a 1-year-old baby in my backyard. I was like drawing with chalk on the wall. And I was like going happy. And I didn't notice that I was sitting on an ant hive. And let's just say thousands of ants were over my legs biting me. And I did not notice. I was a carefree child. And then my sister, who was next to me, noticed and went, "Ah!" And then they brought me inside, shaking the ants off. Not inside the house. And then they put me in and then they put me in the sink, and they drowned all the ants.
And they turned on the garbage disposal, and I was goner.
And because of that, my parents think that I am extra allergic to ants, so whenever I get bitten by an ant, it swells up. Not like I'm gonna die, but like allergic. So yeah. Wow. No story time with Brandon. Fuck it.
So you're saying all you want. So you're saying that's when your art career really just went downhill from from 1-year-old Brandon painting with chalk in his backyard.
Listen, I've lost all the good visual sense. I
Uh-huh.
have a good written sense of art.
Ah.
Ree-hee-hee.
All right.
All right, let me
Ethan?
wrap this up with my last pick.
Please do.
Now, if you know me, I gotta put anime on this list. I'm sorry. And what better to do than a Ghibli movie? Come on, Studio Ghibli.
Ponyo, let's go.
No, I'm not putting Ponyo's. No, I can't put any of the movies that we
Finding Nemo.
I can't put any of the movies that we put on our final stack for Ghibli movies, but there was one film that we did not talk about at all on that Ghibli episode, and it's probably one of my most nostalgic movies ever. I used to watch this movie all the time with my sister and Milo, friend of the show, and his sister, my other cousin. We'd be wrapped up in blankets upstairs at Milo's house, and at the late hours of the night watching Hayao Miyazaki's 2001 Spirited Away.
What did I say about 2001 being a big
It's
year for a
2000
nostalgic movie?
I mean, 2001, that's when they started doing the best animated feature, you know? So there's too many good animated movies this year. We have to, like, give them some recognition, you know?
It's almost like 2001 was when we were like kids.
Yeah.
We were like 2.
I was listen, you were 3?
I'm a grandpa, so I was 3
I'm
in
3.
2001.
Well,
Man.
I would have been
You're
3.
fucking old. Ew. But yeah, Spirited Away. I think this is a good film for any child. Just about learning about growing up and getting out of your comfort zone. It has such good messages about Chihiro going to the spirit world, and just it's basically an Alice in Wonderland told by Hayao Miyazaki. And it has some very like intense moments for a kid, you know, like with the no face and stuff like that. It teaches you about greed and about sharing and stuff like that. And it's just it's such a vibe. Come on. Just like the production design that went behind this film, of all the designs of the spirits and the bathhouse and like the spirit world at night when they're all coming out, like coming through the boats and stuff like that. It's just like, it's incredible. Yeah, Spirited Away. It's one of, people say it's one of the best animated films of all time. I think it's amazing, but I wouldn't say that. I don't think it's even one of Ghibli's top, but it's still a fantastic film. Boys, what do you think about Spirited Away? I know we've all seen it because I know Brandon showed Jack. So, Jack, you're probably the most fresh on it since you've seen it for the first time recently. What do you think about Spirited Away?
Yeah, it's funny. I was really annoyed by Spirited Away when it started.
Yeah, the
Because
first
I was
half
like,
hour.
I was like, stop just being afraid of everything. I was like, oh, that's so annoying. And then as soon as she just kind of like took those steps, literally, I just found myself like invested in it, in everything. So it is a lot of fun. I will say part of the animation style for like not the grandma, but the bathhouse owner.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She freaked me out.
Yeah.
So that was like hard to get used to. But once I did, I was like, oh, this is actually really, really cool. And I really dig the public transportation in every Studio Ghibli
Yes.
movie. But this one, I was just like, it's really fun. Plus, I had a lot of fun moments with Brandon where, like, when she's riding the dragon in the sky and then it, like, turns into a human. I was like, what? No! They're gonna die! Stop flying! But it's a really heartwarming film. I can definitely see why you'd be nostalgic for this. This is the type of movie I wish I could have seen when I was younger, when I like make a blanket fort and like some popcorn and just sit inside on like a summer day, just trying to cool off watching this with my siblings.
That's
like,
exactly what
that
I
kind
do
of
with
film.
me and my cousins.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. But yeah, great movie. I really love this.
Chris, this is one of the few you've seen, right?
Yes. Yeah, Spirited Away, I think it might have been my first Ghibli film to see when I was growing up. Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This is like, I think a lot of people go for this movie as like the quote unquote quintessential Ghibli film, but it's also like even though like, yes, I acknowledge its quality, it's fantastic, and for many reasons, yes, this is one of Ghibli's most like sorry, Jack, stop that. I can't focus. But yeah, this is one of Ghibli's most like celebrated pieces, and for good reason. Yeah, the world building is beautiful. The story is fantastic. I love the original score is, always.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like the animation style is what's always like stuck with me about old Ghibli, is like they kind of have like this weird balance between like kind of like nostalgia. Yeah, nostalgic images. These images have become nostalgic now.
Yes.
And but also on top of that, like just like the tone just feels like a memory like that has like kind of gone by, but you still hold on to a lot.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I absolutely love it. I think like, there's like a slew of movies that I think a lot of people like listen or like look at and is associated with like lo-fi music, and any Ghibli film is often associated. Any kind of Japanese animation tends to be associated with that emotion.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is beautiful, and like everything from like, yeah, like the memory of me watching this movie on top of the actual form of this film being quite nostalgic. I totally see why you would pick this movie. So yeah, absolutely love it.
Hell yeah. Brandon,
Yeah.
Spirited Away. What you got, bro?
This is my first anime ever that I ever watched, so that's got something going for it. I remember my dad bringing it home from Blockbuster, the original version we got, and watching it like it was probably one of the most watched movies in my childhood. Like this and Toy Story and Monsters Inc. were probably up there as most watched. And I think the reason for that is all the reasons that you guys are speaking about. I think there's the animation is so crisp even today, like that. And the thing is with 2D animation is it doesn't really age as poorly as like something like 3D animation does. So a film like Spirited Away has just aged so freaking well over the past 20 years that it looks brand new, and the ideas and concepts there are really great. But if you're a kid, there's stuff that you can grasp onto still. Like it doesn't talk down to kids, even though it like kind of is for kids in a sense, because you have all these different like creatures. I loved films as a kid that had like very original and unique creatures. I know we talked about it with Spy Kids 2 a little bit, and even Spy Kids 1. But like I was always fascinated when they're able to like make something unique and or take something familiar and make it so unique. And for me visually that stood out, but then the story about being insecure and about growing up is also very, very poignant. I will not lie, it was probably one of the scariest films I watched from my childhood.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember being terrified by No Face, the bath god that came to get
the baby
washed. The baby
the baby
the baby
let's
the baby,
go.
let's go.
Oh God,
God.
Brandon just did the baby face. It was the...
Do it again.
Brandon,
Do it
can you
again.
post a picture of yourself doing
Do it
that on
again.
One more
Twitter?
time.
Do it
I
again.
am not gonna do that because I'll just look like Jared Leto's Joker in the Suicide Squad promo art,
Joker
and I can't do
Christ.
that.
Do it again.
Got it. I got it.
Don't-
I got it. Yes.
Save it before you lose it.
I saved it.
All right, you gotta put the baby, the Joker, and me, and then make a Twitter post if you're gonna do it.
Okay, get the baby, get the Joker, and then me.
Get-
You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm
But
just-
yeah, it's a great film, Ethan. Good choice. I think this is an eternally accessible film. Not their best, but definitely good.
I think it is the entry point to Ghibli, you know?
Yeah,
And it's
easy watch.
yeah. All right. Wow, fuck. There we go. There's all of our nostalgic movies. Before we get into making this tough final stack, let's run down all of our picks one more time, starting with you, Jack. Just let's roll down our picks. Let's do it.
Yeah. Also, I was wondering if y'all would be willing to try this.
Yeah.
I'd like to say some quick honorable mentions like right before
Oh
right after I
shit!
say
Yes.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
the ones
Just
that didn't
rattle
make
off a
final
couple.
cut. So my top three that I chose were
Yeah.
1, Big Fat Liar, 2, Spy Kids, directed by Robert Rodriguez, and 3, The Incredibles.
Yeah.
So those are great 3 films, but the ones I was considering as well were Space Jam, 1996. There's also Stuart Little from 1999. Which I just love the fact that they adopted a literal rat over some other kid.
Yo,
And then there's also Hoodwinked from 2005. Hoodwinked
Yes.
almost was here. I wanted Spy Kids.
I think that would have been an honorable mention for me as well. All right.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Good stack. What about you, Brandon? What's your stack?
My stack.
Do you remember your stack?
Yeah, I do. It's Hairspray.
Yes.
It's Max Keeble's Big Move.
Yes.
And it's Wallace and Gromit, The Wrong Trousers.
Yes. Very good.
I did it in order.
Yes.
Augers.
All right, Chris.
So my films were Air Bud 2 Golden Receiver, Chungking Express, and The Ant Bully.
Boom. All right, and my films were Brave Little Toaster, We're Back, A Dinosaur Story, and Spirited Away. And I'm also going to throw in some honorable mentions that I did mention throughout this episode. I would have definitely have included Grand Day Out, and I think I would have included Hoodwinked too, because
Hoodwinked 2?
Hoodwinked as well.
Oh.
Because that's like the definition of like a random movie that we just picked from Blockbuster and that we just really enjoyed, you know?
Mhm.
Okay. Fuck. Let's figure out this final stack, guys. Does anybody have any pitches? I think I'm gonna say some essentials. I'd
Max
say
Keeble.
Max Keeble.
Daddy's daycare. Daddy did.
Daddy
did.
Daycare. No, I'm gonna say Incredibles. I'd say Incredibles or Spy Kids. I'd say are essentials.
I would agree with either of those. Yeah.
I would love to put Chunking on there because I just think like it's a different kind of nostalgia, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that would add.
I
a
would
unique
like
spin.
that.
And Spirited Away is one thing.
I
one
would
I'd
say
throw in
Spirited Away as well.
I wrote down Incredibles, Chungking, and Spirited as my picks, but
there. Mhm.
Same.
we are also axing Brandon.
But I
It's okay.
also want to include Wallace and Gromit because like that was a big part of my childhood too.
Listen.
It's hard.
Listen.
Yeah,
We can only have one animated film.
that's only one.
So
No,
Spirited Away, right?
how can we only have one? All right.
Because we gotta diversify. Wait, what was the list?
But almost all of these movies are animated, Brandon.
You're fucking right. Let's go with it. We got 2D, we got 3D, we got live action. Let's go.
I mean, if we
That's true.
if we want just one animated, we could go Spy Kids.
I was clowning.
Okay.
Have your stack.
And let's do
I
this.
will be no. I will be shut out. It's okay.
This is what I'm saying. Remember when we did Ghibli episode and we had a bonus
No.
with Wind Rises?
I
I
don't
say we put
remember.
Wrong Trousers as a little bonus because it's a short film, you know? If you feel like
Let's
something
put
more...
Wrong Trousers in like the sidecar.
Yeah,
It's a little cute.
there you go.
There is a sidecar in the Wallace and Gromit franchise. I will say.
All right, how are we going to order this? I'm going to say... I think Spirited Away first because it's a movie about being introduced to this big world. Then I would go Chunking Express, and then I would go Incredibles. What do you guys think?
I'm down. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to leave off on the melancholic edge that is or Chunking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
And Spirited Away kind of has like a hopeful ending, but it may be too ambiguous.
Sure.
Incredibles, although ambiguous, solid ending, and we all knew there would be a sequel, even if it
Mhm.
didn't live up.
Yeah.
Is this like in order of which you should watch?
Yeah, so this is going to be our watching
Like
order.
that.
So we
Ooh,
throw
yeah.
on Spirited Away first. Or do we throw on Incredibles first? I don't know. What do you think?
I would throw Incredibles on first because that's like a quick, easy watch to
Uh-huh.
get you like hyped for the other two. That way you're like, oh, okay, let's keep it rolling. And
Yeah, you're right.
then I might follow that up with Chungking
Yeah.
to be like, okay, let's mix it up, diversify a little bit, give you a little something different, and then to end it, you end it with Spirited Away because then it's like, oh, I'm gonna hit it hard but end on a high note.
I'm gonna go to bed. That's what that is.
No, I think the connection from Chunking to Spirited Away is a lot stronger than from Chunking to Incredibles. I think you're right on the money with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What do you guys think? You
Why
answer
do you
good?
think I'm wrong?
No, I agree.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Alrighty. Well, let us run down Stack's official, our most nostalgic movies stack. Starting with Jack, you want to kick off this final stack for us?
We got The Incredibles, 2004, directed by Brad Bird.
Yes. great movie about family, about being your prime. Looking back, I mean, what can you say? That's nostalgia right there.
In a world full of supers, when everyone's special, no one's special.
There you go. Chris, and our second pick?
Our second pick is 1994's by Wong Kar-wai's 1994 film Chungking Express, a beautiful relic of the 90s in Hong Kong. Some of the most nostalgic imagery and auditory experience that some of the most engrossing visual and auditory experience you could possibly have with a film. A beautiful celebration of love and a memory that we may never see again. So one of the most nostalgic films in the world to me. So yes.
Boom. And our last film is Hayao Miyazaki's iconic classic Spirited Away, a film about growing up, about getting out of your comfort zone, about learning about the complexities of the human world through the spirit world, with topics such as greed and stealing and stuff like that. And it's just a really wholesome, great tale about just being a good person. And that's all that matters at the end of the day, really, is being a good person. And yeah, that's our stack. There we go. Holy shit.
Let's go.
I want to thank our guest, Jack Ruhl, for coming on the show. Jack, buddy, it's been a long time coming. I'm so glad we finally had you on to talk of these movies. This was a solid episode. And yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes.
I was glad to be here.
And before we go, I want you to plug yourself. Where can people find you? What are you working on? How can people can support you? Come on. I know you're working on a lot of stuff.
Thanks. Honestly, you can find me anywhere by searching Jack Ruhl, Ruhl. I don't have any projects I want to plug. I just want to say, be yourself and have fun with what you do. If you be yourself and think about other people, all I'm about is helping people and telling stories. That's all I really want to do. So go out and tell a story and help some people.
I'm going to plug something for you. Amateur Lover on SoundCloud. Jack makes the coolest, the freshest beats that I literally listen to them while I'm working on, when I was working on the script for my thesis, your Marcos Valle remix, I literally put it on loop. I can't stop listening. It's so good. And yeah, thanks for coming on the show, buddy.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Also, one more thing. I do want to know, when are we going to go over the ranked list of Brandon's memories?
Oh, let's start that right now. Brandon, you want to let's just go through it.
Episode 2.
Number 1,783.